Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here in the sports entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, on PRConnectionRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. So it has been a solid season 6 of the Vegas Golden Knights franchise. There's been some good, there's been some bad, there's definitely been some in between. But I want to get to an interesting question here on this edition of Vegas Hockey. Who is the most valuable player of the Vegas Golden Knights? Who is a player that, if you had to say, is the MVP of the Vegas Golden Knights, who would it be and why? And like we do similar on most shows here on Vegas Hockey Hub, I'm not just going to give you one argument. I'm not just going to give it two arguments. I'm not just going to give it three arguments, but I'm going to give you four arguments onto who could be the most valuable player on your Vegas Golden Knights. And of course, we will start this out with the first argument, and that is Riley Smith, the leading goal scorer for your Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, Riley Smith has been a day one for the Vegas Golden Knights. Riley Smith, a misfit by all definition. Riley Smith in the 2022-2023 season has been phenomenal. 18 goals in 48 games. Comes off that brand new contract extension he signed in the 2022 offseason. But what I've liked about Riley Smith is how consistent he has been. This is a Riley Smith who actually missed 26 games last year, come back, and has not missed a single game in 2022-2023. Now, what I can also appreciate about Riley Smith and what props I will give to Riley Smith here is he has been with multiple lines mates. Riley Smith has been on the first line at times, been on the second line. He has been on the same line with Chandler Stevenson. He's been with Phil Kessel at times. But the main line Riley Smith has been on in the 2022-2023 NHL season is the iconic KSM line of William Karlsson, Riley Smith, and Jonathan Marchessault. And yes, William Karlsson has had some form of a rebound in 2022-2023, but Jonathan Marchessault has missed time. Jonathan Marchessault has missed 6 games this year with the Vegas Golden Knights. His defense has left a little bit to be desired, but 15 goals in 42 games, I will give props to Jonathan Marchessault. William Karlsson, like I said, has had a little bit of a rebound, 10 goals already, only had 12 last year, but it's not been a top 6 production from William Karlsson. Whereas Riley Smith, 18 goals on now, he could possibly have a 25-goal season by the end of year 6. So Riley Smith, being that leading goal scorer for the Vegas Golden Knights, what has he done in terms of on the ice, right? What has he done in terms of helping the team in terms of power play? How has he done in terms of shots, right? That is something you could definitely talk about with Riley Smith, and you could make a valid argument there. Now, going by a game-by-game basis is very difficult to do, but we have time here on this show, and we can definitely break that down. Riley Smith on the power play has had 6 goals and 7 points on the power play. There's also the same Riley Smith who's had 4 shorthanded goals and 4 shorthanded points. So even if you are on a 5-on-4 or if you're on a 4-on-3, Riley Smith is still contributing at that level. So like I said, 6 of his 18 goals have been on the power play. I also want to mention that he has had 1 goal in overtime, and he's had a trio of goals that have been game winners. You know, his shooting percentage around 14%. That is not bad by any means. He's had over 120 shots, at this point in time. So Riley Smith has done well in terms of how he has performed. Now, the one aspect that I will not take away is over the last 10 games, Riley Smith has not had a single goal. Dating back to his time on January 5th, Riley Smith has only had 3 points during that time period. So, yes, I will acknowledge that, and I will give that to you, that Riley Smith only having 3 points in the beginning of the 2023 calendar year could be a deterrent from saying he is the most valuable player. Because, yes, you can play every single game, but if you are not producing a single goal nearly a month into 2023, that's a little bit of a concern. Also, his plus minus this year has been a little bit of a question mark, a -1 throughout the entire 48 games. But this is also a Riley Smith that has had a -5 in 2023. So Riley Smith has a solid argument when you look at it from a 50-foot view. When you're looking in right there. But when you zoom out and you have the 50,000-foot view, Riley Smith doesn't make a great argument of being the most valuable player because majority of the stuff he has done that has been great this year was back in 2022, the first 3 months of the year. Now, to be positive, I will say to Riley Smith, hopefully he can turn it around. Hopefully Riley Smith can have a great second half of the year. Hopefully in February, March, and April, Riley Smith can have a turnaround. And then by May, when the Vegas Golden Knights are in the playoffs and they're battling in the Western Conference, Riley Smith will be lighting up the lamppost in Vegas. So he's argument number 1 on why he could be the most valuable player for the Vegas Golden Knights. How about Riley Smith? Now, argument number 2 will be the leading points getter for the Vegas Golden Knights, and that is Chandler Stephenson. Chandler Stephenson has not only been the best trade in Vegas Golden Knights history. I made a video on this channel about that. I'll leave a card right up here. William Karlsson, has been solid, but in terms of production, Chandler Stephenson might be the best player the Vegas Golden Knights have ever acquired via a trade. Now, Chandler Stephenson this season has only 11 goals on the year. So when you say that, 11 goals doesn't sound like much. I mean, Riley Smith had 18, but Chandler Stephenson has 42 points in 48 games. This is a guy who gets the puck to somebody else. He is able to find the right read. He is able to find the right shot and get that into the back of the net. There's also the same Chandler Stephenson who has a positive plus minus and doesn't accumulate a lot of penalty minutes. In fact, he actually has less than 100 penalty minutes in his entire NHL career. But how has Chandler Stephenson done in terms of the analytical side of it? Well, Chandler Stephenson has 12 points on the power play. So the fact that this guy's had 12 of his 42 points on the power play and has had 4 game-winning goals for the Vegas Golden Knights, that means that out of the 11 goals he has had, 4 of them is when it mattered the most. What that tells me is that is a consistency. That is something that you want at the end of the game. Chandler Stephenson is going to be somebody that you want to have the puck on his stick when it matters the most. He's also had 70 shots on goal already, and that is a 15% shooting percentage, which is a little bit higher than what Riley Smith had when I talked about him earlier. Now, I also want to point out that Chandler Stephenson being on the first line in Vegas has paid dividends this year for the Vegas Golden Knights. Regardless if he is teaming up with Jack Eichel and Mark Stone, if he has had to have Paul Cotter come in relief for Jack Eichel, and it's been Paul Cotter Chandler Stevenson and Mark Stone, or even when Mark Stone being injured and you've had to have Jonathan Marchessault be on the first line with Chandler Stevenson, he has been able to gel with every linesmate he has been with. And just looking at the month of January, it is apparent that Chandler Stevenson has been somebody that you can rely on in the month of January. So Chandler Stevenson in the month has had 1 goal and has had 3 points in the month of January. It's also the same Chandler Stevenson that has been able to produce at a certain level in the month of January. So Chandler Stevenson could make a valid argument once again for being the MVP of the Vegas Golden Knights. You could make an argument there. But the one negative that I could have with Chandler Stevenson, and the only thing I could say that might be a little bit of a negative towards him, is the fact that Chandler Stevenson, unfortunately, that there is only one negative to his game, and that is the fact that when it comes to Chandler Stevenson, there has been a few games this year where Chandler Stevenson has been invisible. There has been a few games in the 2022-2023 season that Chandler Stevenson was a ghost. You pretty much didn't see much of him. There wasn't really any shots on goal. There wasn't a lot of production time. I'll take it for in case the Arizona game where he had a -2, no goals, no points, and no shots on goal in 21 minutes. I also remember vividly they took on the LA Kings earlier this year, and he had a -1, 0 goals, 0 points, and 0 shots on goal in near 19 minutes of ice time. Now, look, I get it. There is going to be a game or two that you're going to have a bad time. But unfortunately for Chandler Stevenson, the only negative, like I said, that I could give Chandler Stevenson is that there's been a few games this year where it really felt like he wasn't even being productive. Where he pretty much was on the ice skating around, but you really didn't see him, passing the puck around. You didn't see him putting the shots on net. He wasn't crashing the net. It's just unfortunate, but there's just been a few games this year where he has been invincible at times. Now, the third argument for being MVP for the Vegas Golden Knights. How about the All-Star? How about the guy that is the only representative at the NHL All-Star game for your Vegas Golden Knights? How about the rookie, the Calder Trophy nominee for the Vegas Golden Knights? And how about Logan Thompson? Right, Logan Thompson has been a feel-good story for the Vegas Golden Knights. The 25-year-old, he wasn't even in the NHL 2 years ago. He was with the AHL, ECHL. He got bounced around for the Washington Capitals, New Jersey Devils organization, lands with the Vegas Golden Knights organization, and has called it home ever since. I mean, this has been a feel-good story. He played with Kelly McCrimmon and the Brandon Wheat Kings in the Western Hockey League and the WHL. Now is with the NHL. Kelly McCrimmon is his general manager, and he is now a starting goalie in the NHL. I mean, Logan Thompson has played a little under 40 games as the goalie for the Vegas Golden Knights. His goals against average is around 2.7, and his save percentage is a little over 91%. Now, in terms of rankings, in terms of NHL goalies, his goals against average is right outside the top 10, and his save percentage is around the top 15. So, Logan Thompson has had a solid year for the Vegas Golden Knights. And when you account the fact that he is a rookie that has only had 20 games played before season 6, you have to factor that in. Now, I'm a huge fan of Logan Thompson. And if you want to say he has been the most valuable player of the Vegas Golden Knights season, if you want to say that Logan Thompson has been your MVP, go right ahead. You can make that argument. Just like with Chandler Stevenson that I talked about earlier in the show. If you believe that Chandler Stevenson is the most valuable player, go ahead. I will not stop you. But let me ask you a simple question. Has Logan Thompson been every single game the most productive player on the team? Has Logan Thompson every single game, has he been lights out? Has he been clutch every single game? Or has it been 8 out of 10 games he has been fantastic and there's been 1 or 2 games that he has been so-so? Because from a statistical standpoint, when you actually break down the analytics of Logan Thompson, there has been, unfortunately, a game or two that Logan Thompson has looked like a rookie. There has been a game or two where Logan Thompson had to shrug off 4 or 5 goals that were let up. In case, for example, I went to this game, and that was the Edmonton Oilers game back in January 14th. This was a game where they let up 4 goals and his save percentage was below 89. Or how about the game against LA, which is another game that I went to as well? I mean, he had a save percentage around 84%, and he let up 3 goals in 19 saves. Now, look, I'm not saying that I would be better. As a matter of fact, I would be terrible. But there's been a reoccurring trend since late December, early January, where Logan Thompson will have 2 or 3 amazing games. The case in point, the Anaheim game, where he stopped all 22 saves against Anaheim. There was also the fact that he had that amazing game against the Colorado Avalanche, where he stopped 29 out of 31. Or that game he did against Chicago, where he stopped 25 out of 26. Trust me, he has had some amazing games. But there's been those few games against Edmonton. There was that back-to-back game against LA, where unfortunately Logan Thompson looks like a rookie, where, he has performed at times as a rookie. And for that reason, that's why I say that he really can't be the MVP. If you want to put him there, that's fine. But I'm just saying that when it comes to Logan Thompson, he hasn't been perfect. He has not been a great goalie the entire year. He's had a few duds. Now, I'm going to do an honorable mention real quick. Because this honorable mention is going to be a guy that so many people are going to mention. A honorable mention who, yes, Vegas Golden Knights fans, you are going to sit here and say that when he was not on the ice, it was impactful a lot. That when this guy was out for about 14 games this year, Jack Eichel has been an impactful player for the Vegas Golden Knights. There are going to be Golden Knights fans who are going to make the argument that Jack Eichel has been the most impactful player on the Golden Knights. He has been the best player on the Vegas Golden Knights, and he is a valuable asset to the Vegas Golden Knights. Hey, you know what? That's fair. That is a fair argument. I'll give you a round of applause if you say that Jack Eichel has been the most valuable player on the Vegas Golden Knights. You are going to make a lot of sense. Now, his statistics, 15 goals, 34 points in 35 games. All right, Jack Eichel has been averaging almost a point per game since being with the Vegas Golden Knights. He has also had a plus 11 this season with the Vegas Golden Knights. He also rarely ever gets into the penalty box. I mean, by the way, he's only had 20 penalty minutes in the last 3 seasons combined. That's insane, by the way. So, Jack Eichel rarely gets in the penalty box. He has had a plus 14 since joining the Vegas Golden Knights, and he has put up 59 points since joining the Vegas Golden Knights. So, when you base it off of that front, yes, absolutely, you can make a valid argument. Jack Eichel has also been a guy that's made a lot of money for the Vegas Golden Knights in terms of selling jerseys, in terms of buying tickets, in terms of being a box office marquee. Jack Eichel's been that guy. I will not take that away, that as soon as Jack Eichel showed up to the Vegas Golden Knights, they printed a lot of those gold jerseys with Eichel on the back. That bobbleheads were being made. That sweaters were being made. And shirts with Eichel being put on it. I will not take that away. I also will point out that Jack Eichel in 2 seasons has scored 29 goals as a Vegas Golden Knight. But somebody made a comment that I actually think is quite interesting. Fans on Vegas Golden Knights website are wondering how we can get our money back on Eichel since his numbers are not up to the salary he got. Unfortunately, the person who made that comment, you're not necessarily wrong. If you go on capfriendly.com, which I do a lot, Jack Eichel is getting paid in the top 15 when it comes to players in his salary. Okay? Jack Eichel has, like I said, scored 34 points in 35 games. So why don't we compare him to the players that are being paid at his level? Now, I'm not going to talk about Connor McDavid, and I'm not going to talk about Erik Karlsson, and I'm not going to talk about Auston Matthews. Erik Karlsson's getting paid 11.5. He's scoring 62 points. Auston Matthews is getting paid 11.6, and he is scoring 24 goals. I'm also not going to talk about Artemi Panarin, who has had 47 points, and he's getting paid 12.5. Okay, I'm not going to go there. What I am going to do, however, is I'm going to break down the players who make the exact same salary as Jack Eichel. All right, you're going to notice a theme here, by the way, for the person who made that comment. So for the people who make $10 million, Oliver Ekman-Larsson for the Vancouver Canucks has scored 1 goal and 19 points in 45 games. Makes $10 million. Jeff Skinner has made 45 points, 19 of them being goals in 42 games. Like I said, he is averaging a point per game. Kirill Kaprizov, making $10 million, has 26 goals, 56 points in 45 games. Timo Meier, out there at San Jose Sharks, 27 goals, 47 points in 48 games. And even Matthew Barzal, 11 goals, 41 points in 47 games. So yes, Jack Eichel at 15 goals, 34 points in 35 games. At the surface, you're going to say as a Vegas Golden Knights fan that we are not making the amount of money, that he is not earning that contract. Well, what if we compared a former Vegas Golden Knight who's making $10 million a year to Jack Eichel? Nick Suzuki, at 22 years old, is making $10 million a year for the Montreal Canadiens. And he has scored 16 goals, 38 points in 47 games. So for the Vegas Golden Knights fans who want to compare his salary, well, when you compare it to the league, Jack Eichel is around the average of the NHL. Suzuki, 38. Barzal, about 34. So for the person that are saying that on that Vegas Golden Knights website, I'm going to use some statistics and some facts to back up the fact that, no, is he on the Alex Ovechkin level who has 52 points on the year? No. Is he on the Kirill Kaprizov level of 56 points? No. But Nick Suzuki has the same amount of salary as him, and he is scoring 38 points. Philippe Forsberg in Nashville, getting paid $10 million, has 39 points. And Matthew Barzal, 41 points. So I just wanted to very briefly mention that because the person who's making that comment that we need to make our money back on Jack Eichel, well, you already have made your money back. You already got your money back on Jack Eichel. It's based off the jersey that you bought. The souvenir cup of Jack Eichel. How about the toys that have Jack Eichel on it? That is the money that the Vegas Golden Knights made. The Vegas Golden Knights have made plenty more than $10 million based off of Jack Eichel. So, Jack Eichel being the most valuable player for the Vegas Golden Knights, you can make the argument. Go ahead, I won't stop you. But in my opinion, Jack Eichel is not the most valuable player on the Vegas Golden Knights. The most valuable player, and the title gives it away, is the captain of the Vegas Golden Knights, and that's Mark Stone. Now, I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and I'm going to tell you why Mark Stone is the most valuable player, the MVP of your Vegas Golden Knights. For starters, Mark Stone is one of, if not the best defensive player your Vegas Golden Knights have. He has not been one of, but the best defensive forward the NHL has had over the last 5 years. That's why he keeps on getting nominated for the Selke every single year. Mark Stone, defensively, is one of the best that you have in the NHL. And those defensive skills is why Mark Stone is actually the most valuable player on this team. Because Mark Stone, defensively, has been the best player on the Golden Knights, statistically. And how do I back this up? By using this. Mark Stone has a plus 11 for the Vegas Golden Knights. So despite his 17 goals, which is second on the team, despite his 21 assists, which is fourth on the team, despite his 38 points, which is second on the team, he has a plus 11, which has the second most on the team. There's also the same Mark Stone, who, by the way, is only making $8 million this year. Only making $8 million this year. But I think that $8 million is worth every single cent. Because ever since he joined the Vegas Golden Knights, the 4 years he has been with the Vegas Golden Knights, his plus minus has been as followed. In year 4, he had a plus 26. He had a plus 15 the year before. He had a plus 7 in an injury-riddled 2021-2022. And he had a plus 11, and he has missed only 5 games in the 2022-2023 season. I also want to mention that Mark Stone has had 63 points in 65 games in 2019-2020. 61 points in 55 games in 2020-2021. And even in the injury-riddled 2021-2022 season, he nearly averaged a point per game with 30 points in 37 games. And even this year, 38 points in 43 games. So Mark Stone has been one of, if not the best player on the Vegas Golden Knights. And in my host opinion, he is the most valuable player that your Vegas Golden Knights have. That without Mark Stone, defensively, Logan Thompson will be exposed. Offensively, Chandler Stevenson, his assists would not be as high without Mark Stone being on the same line. That Jack Eichel would not be putting up as many goals as he has if he wasn't on the same line as Mark Stone. And Riley Smith and his stat production is very much because of the fact that Mark Stone is on the line above him. Every line gets affected in one way or another with Mark Stone. Every person who's on the same line with Mark Stone gets affected because of it. Even Paul Cotter, who's had 8 goals on the year as a rookie, has had to be on the same line as Mark Stone, and he has been performing better when Mark Stone's on the same line as him. So I'm going to leave it up to you, but my argument is that Mark Stone is the most valuable player on the Vegas Golden Knights. I'll pass it on to you. Put in the comment down below, who do you think the most valuable player on your Vegas Golden Knights is? So until next time, continue watching hockey, go support junior hockey, and go Knights, go.